Welcome to Pathetic, the podcast, coming in for another week. I'm back. I was away. Mike, you did a great job with Jeff last week when I was not here. Watched the show, listened to it, driving. It was great. How are you doing
Awesome.
tonight?
I'm doing great. It's a beautiful time of the year. I don't have my Christmas decorations out yet, but my neighbor does. So I'm already can't see outside my window without getting blinded by 700 inflatables. I feel like I'm back in the Bronx with somebody loading up with the inflatables in their house where there's not a patch of grass to be had.
Our Christmas tree is up. Our inside of the house is completely decorated. I'm not doing the outside until the weekend after Thanksgiving.
Yep, I will do mine on Black Friday. I will get all the decorations out. Will be ready to go, and then I have to wait like 2 weeks to get the real tree.
Yeah.
So I will not cut one down, but I will gladly grab one from the tree farm. So
Well, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Go to our Linktree so you can see all our socials. Listen, like, subscribe. That's the best thing you can do for us. We have so many people that view the show and don't subscribe. Please don't be one of those. If you view the show, subscribe. It helps us out. We show up on algorithms. Mike, whatever the algorithm thing means, I have no idea.
I have no idea.
I just don't know. But we're going to have a fun show for you tonight. Jeff is actually traveling on business.
Ooh.
It's hard for me to picture Jeff as a businessman because truthfully, for the rest of his life, he's always going to be like my 6-year-old nephew. But
Yep.
Jeff is traveling. He's going to be somewhere in the Atlanta area. So Jeff, I hope you're being safe, but I hope you're also having fun down there.
Magic City, give it a shot. Those wings are very good. I've heard allegedly. I've heard.
Allegedly. It's funny, Mike. Every single time I see someone doing a review of like stadium food, I always think of you because no one enjoys stadium food more than you.
Nope, none at all. I love it.
The routine you have is tremendous. The best thing you ever did though was remember when we went to the Devils game and you paid with a Rangers credit card?
Yes, I asked if they took Discover, and they said, "Of course we do." So then I threw the Rangers Discover card on the thing, and they go, "We don't take that one."
She looked at you with disgust.
Yeah,
when you did that. That's really funny. But yeah, tonight we're going to talk about a few things. The first thing that I know, Mike, you're adamant about this, and we definitely have to talk about it, is the Abdul Carter situation with the Giants. So
Yep.
why don't you start us off on that?
Yeah, I mean, look, he came out. I don't think you can argue with anyone saying that he should have been the top overall defensive lineman that came out of the draft. He has the raw talent to really be a great player. You saw it in college. Everyone wanted to get him. Everyone after the draft said the Giants did the great thing by drafting him and pairing him up with Thibodeau. And 2 weeks later, he's out here saying he wants to get number 56 and be Lawrence Taylor, and he wants to, do all that kind of stuff. And then he comes out and he has a half of a sack through 11 games. And now we're hearing that he's either falling asleep or doing something where he's missing the walkthroughs during the week and he has to get suspended for a play. I'm sorry, if you are a rookie and you're already being this much of a high maintenance guy, I mean, someone's got to get in his ear and tell him, "Hey man, you haven't done a thing in this league yet. You have half of a sack in your entire NFL career. You don't get to go out and say that I'm going to be Lawrence Taylor and be this guy. You have to earn that respect." And I hope that the Giants players, the veterans out there, can pull him aside and say, "Dude, you can't be doing this," because that's the quickest way to lose respect in this league, is to be that kind of guy who has no talent whatsoever or hasn't shown it on the professional level yet. So
yeah, it's it's funny. I don't know how to put this without kind of crapping on the Giants. Okay. And I don't mean to do that. But, they're an organization that every single chance they get, their fans, their organization themselves, oh, we're the New York football Giants. Okay. They have to be called that, the football Giants. And yet, if you look at it, they've made the same miserable decisions and have gone down the same miserable road that the Jets have. They came into this year, I don't care who you talk to. Okay, maybe Jeff was one of the few non-delusional ones. But Mike, how many Giant fans said they're making the playoffs this year? This is our year. We
I
got
mean,
Russell Wilson,
yeah,
right?
I mean, they haven't been the football giants like you say in at least 10 years since
Minimum.
probably
Yeah.
since they got there. Maybe a hint of it with Daniel Jones that first season.
Yeah.
That's probably the last time they were even remotely close to being the football giants. But this team is this reminds me of kind of like the Yankees in the late mid 60s to mid 70s where they just were awful and
Yeah.
they couldn't get out of their own way and they kept making terrible decision after terrible decision. And I think part of it goes down to that there's everyone genuflects to the Maras,
Oh, yeah,
and
for sure.
and they respect them, and it's his team. He's done, his grandfather brought the league into existence, and his dad helped, form the Giants into what they were and get the stadium built in Jersey and all of that. But his his tenure as the owner of this team has not been very good.
It's been
It's
awful.
been all along the lines of Woody Johnson, and part of it is I think this stadium. Once they built MetLife Stadium, they had a perfectly fine stadium in Giant Stadium that had a home field advantage. You had a season ticket list that was 40 years long that you
Yeah.
couldn't get it. You couldn't get into the stadium, and because you're greedy and because you wanted to get a Super Bowl in New York, which was the dumbest thing ever, you blew up your entire season ticket fan base. You pissed on all the fans that have been, inheriting these tickets to their kids and grandkids for years and decades, and you threw all that up for a couple of luxury suites.
And
It's just
what they also did, Mike, was they had the option, since the league paid for most of this stadium because it was two teams together. They paid for most of this stadium. Woody Johnson and the Jets wanted this stadium to be either fully enclosed or a retractable roof. And they would have had to pay the extra money. And Woody Johnson was more than happy to do that. And the Giants' response, they said it was not about the money, which I don't believe. They said it
right.
wasn't about the money. We would lose our advantage of being an NFC, Northeast team. Dude, you lost your NFC East advantage when you decided to build this stadium and when Mara took control of this team. That's when you lost it, because I'm tired of hearing about the Giant way, the way they do things. Guess what? That way is garbage.
It
It's
hasn't been that
garbage.
way. It hasn't been that way in forever.
Right. They fired. Now, I don't say they shouldn't have fired Dable, but how many times did you hear when the Jets fired Robert Saleh in the middle of the year? Oh, the Giants never do stuff like that. You just did it.
Right.
And you fired the guy who found your quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And Shane is going to continue so far. He's going to continue. When you look at his drafts and the people he signed, it's been very suspect. Very.
Yeah.
And if you want to crap on the Jets and say, well, Darren Muji picked Justin Fields. Well, your guy picked Russell Wilson.
Yep. And then signed Jameis Winston, and then agreed to draft Jackson Dart. So now you have three quarterbacks.
What was the plan?
Right.
Okay.
Even when you had both Winston and Russell Wilson before you even had Dart, like where were you going with that? I don't know. But
And then the thing with Abdul Carter, listen, he probably is going to turn out to be a great player, but why is it that a lot of these defensive players that get drafted by the Giants turn to crap? Really,
I think
Thibodeau is so overrated; it's not even funny.
it's honestly it's the scheme. I think if you had Wink Martindale that was still there, that
Yeah.
defense was very scary that one year where
Yep.
they made the playoffs and were threatening to, really get back to an NFC Championship game on the back of that defense.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of it is the scheme that they run now. It's give up football. They a team should not should at least have 3 or 4 more wins this season easily based
Easily.
on the games that they had. They should have won the Denver game. They should have won the Cowboy game. They
Right.
should have won the Bear game.
Yeah.
Chicago was begging them to give away that game.
And you could
Um,
almost say they should have beat Green Bay. Green Bay
right.
did not want to win that game.
Yep.
They did not.
Yep. And they right down the field at the end of the game to score the touchdown. They had no real plan to
Right.
get. They have no real way to get to the quarterback with the talent that they have. They should be scheming every single down to what are we going to do to get to this quarterback.
Yeah.
We should not be
Exactly.
dropping guys back. Kayvon Thibodeau should not be in coverage or being a QB spy or whatever. He should be in his 3-point stance, going
Yep.
after the quarterback. Him and Carter should be making those offensive linemen absolutely miserable. And that's the way you should be running your defense. And everything else is after that. So
Yeah. So they've got a lot of questions to answer. And I mean, so do the Jets. Again, this isn't about we're talking about the Giants right now. We're not talking
Yep.
about the Jets. Jets have their own myriad of issues.
Yep.
And Mike and I are Jet fans, but listen, we're pretty honest about, what they need, what they've not done right, and all of those things. So
We could spend the next 4 hours talking
yeah,
about how bad the Jets are,
absolutely.
but
Absolutely.
you have to be honest with where this team is. If you take out those 2 Super Bowl years, which again, if my aunt had,
Hmm. Should
whatever, she'd
be.
be my uncle. If you take out those 2 Super Bowl years, this team hasn't been good for a considerable amount of time in 30 years or
Yeah.
35 years since Sims left at this
Yeah.
point. You look at Dave Brown, you look at all of those other quarterbacks that they've had, up until Eli, and then after Eli, they've been struggling. Now, I think
Yeah.
they have the guy in Dart. I think Dart
I think so too.
is great, and I think you're going to be very happy with him going forward. But you have to build this team around him. You have to get a defense that knows what it's doing. You have
Yep.
to get skilled players who can stay healthy, and you got to teach Jackson Dart how to be an NFL quarterback. You can't be running around like a lunatic. These guys will take your
Yeah.
head off like they just did in there. And one other thing I will say about them, what is Abdul Carter and Cam Scatterbo doing at Madison Square Garden on Monday Night Raw, punching guys? I guess Scatterbo's leg is pretty good if he's out there in a walking boot, punching guys in the stands of a wrestling match. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't tell me that the Giants signed off on Abdul Carter and Scatterbo, hitting, beating up guys in a wrestling match.
It probably means nothing, but it's bad optics.
Yeah, it's
Listen,
not what you want, as Joe Girardi would say.
listen. Early in the year, do you remember when Malik Neighbor had the concussion, and that he's out with concussion protocol, and he goes to a concert at Madison Square Garden? Now, I would think. Now, last week I missed the show because of a migraine. Okay, when you have a concussion, loud noises, bright lights, all that
Right.
bothers you. But instead, he went to a concert. What now? Even if he felt, oh, listen, I don't know why I'm in concussion protocol. I'm fine. It's the optics.
Yep.
It's the optics of this.
It's going on the boat. It's going on the boat with
right.
Odell Beckham and all
Odell
those
Beckham?
guys. It's just not what an organization that's supposed to be a bellwether franchise in the
Right.
NFL. Their guys don't do that.
Mhm.
Those are the things that organizations like our organization does, and
Right.
like Cleveland and all these organizations that can't get out of their own way. That's what they do. You
And,
don't see Steelers players doing that. You don't see Eagles players doing that. You don't see Rams guys doing stupid stuff like that. You don't see any of the Patriots doing that. So,
and
you
I
know,
loved Scadaboo, but his response was, I'm not able to do the thing I love, which is football. So I'm trying to have fun while I'm being basically miserable with the injury. I get that,
yep.
but
You could go to the UFC fight and hang out
right.
and whatever and get on the TV and wave and whatever. But
Don't be
to
a
go out
part
there
of the
and
whole thing.
yeah, to go out, you just wave to the camera. You don't have to
Yeah.
go and start beating up, whatever wrestler it was. I haven't been watched wrestling in forever, but I just saw that and was like, I can't believe that they were okay with that.
And it's like, I know going to the Jets now, they had Chris Boyd, their cornerback. He hasn't played much, but he was shot outside, I guess, a nightclub or a restaurant on 38th Street in Manhattan. Now, I think from everything I've heard, he wasn't doing anything to the point where
Right.
it kind of was just, he got targeted by accident from a
Yep.
guy
He
shooting
was.
from a car.
I think he was either at the UFC fight or watching the UFC fight that on that Saturday night and was in the wrong place at the wrong time. I
Right.
think.
But the thing is, Mike, we've said this 100 times. Nothing good ever happens at 2 a.m. in the morning.
No.
And
No.
that's the truth. Nothing. And I said that to my wife as soon as I heard it. I said, I hate to say this, but nothing good happens after midnight, basically.
No. I mean,
So,
I'm usually up after midnight, so I would tend to agree with you that not much good stuff happens after midnight. But
yeah,
you know,
but I was like, geez. But yeah, I think the Giant situation is going to be very interesting because if they were smart, and I don't think they are, they would fire Joe Shane because he should not be allowed to pick this next coach.
I understand a little bit why they're doing it because they want to get the search started. I talked about this a little bit last week. They want to get the search started now. If you have to pick a GM as well, you got to pick that guy first before you get the coach because you don't want it to be the Jet situation where you hire the coach first and then the GM and they both report to the owner. You don't want that situation. You want a clear line of delineation. And with Mara's health that he's battling cancer, they don't and he's very close with Joe Shane, so I think that's part of the reason why. But I hear what you guys are saying, that his draft picks have not been good. His free agent decisions have not been great. He's got to
Right.
live with the Saquon thing. He's got to live with, the, all the other things that he's done.
Well,
So,
the Daniel Jones thing. Listen,
right,
I don't think Daniel Jones is per se a Super Bowl quarterback, but he's quarterback on a team that's 8-2 right now,
right.
and his numbers are really good.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know, man. If I was Joe Shane, I would hate to wake up on a Monday morning and look at the stats for both Saquon and Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
I really would. And
Yep.
and again, I don't know that it was so much a bad thing, but I think the way it occurred was really the issue.
Yep. And
So,
and we'll be honest too. I mean, you look at what Sam Darnold's doing, this week aside,
yep.
I would love to have if he would have stayed here and been able to do this with the
Yeah.
Jets. I have 4 Sam Darnold jerseys in my closet, so I wish he would have been the guy and stayed here and been. I can still wear them now, which is nice.
Yeah.
I don't have that. It's not like my Brett Favre Jet jersey that I can't take out of the closet. I can
Yeah,
at
that
least
one.
wear the Darnold ones, which is at least
Yeah.
good.
Well, so all right. So much about Abdul Carter and the mess that's going on there. Mike, Jeff is not a huge hockey fan. We are both huge hockey fans.
Yep.
And I guess we're about a quarter of the way through, maybe a
Yeah,
little bit
I
more
would
than a
say
quarter of the way
Thanksgiving.
through.
It's like Memorial Day for the baseball season.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving for the hockey season is when you first check in and see how your team's doing.
Yep.
So
So that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to check in on Mike is a Rangers fan. I am a Devils fan. And we'll check in and we'll talk a little bit about what's going on with the teams. Mike, you want to take the Rangers right now?
yeah, I mean they need scoring in the worst way possible. They have 12 guys who are all third line guys. They can't score. They are. It's tough. I'm glad they finally brought up the kid, who's actually showing some signs that he could be the guy. But they're key guys of Zibanejad, of Panarin, and Vinny Trocheck, and even JT Miller have really kind of just not even played to the remotely where they should be playing, given the salaries that they're getting and what they need to be doing for this team, because there's nobody else who can score. Their power play is really bad at this point. I mean, I feel bad for the defense, because if they get down 1 or 2 goals, that they're not coming back in that game. It's just not going to happen. So, I think that there's some opportunity to move some things and maybe pick up somebody in a trade later on in the season, but they've kind of righted the ship a little bit. They play very well away from Madison Square Garden, which is lucky right now. They're on a West Coast trip. They're playing Vegas tonight, so
they're actually 9-1-1 on the road,
right,
and they're 1-7-1 at home.
Yeah, I mean, part of that is that everybody gets up to play at Madison Square Garden. Every other away team is always going to be that way, and it's kind of the opposite for the Knicks, which will be a totally different day. Will be that where they play amazing at the Garden and they can't win on the road. But the Rangers, for whatever reason, they get behind early in these games at the Garden, and the crowd turns on them, and it's hard to get them back at this point, because the crowd sees that they can't come back. They don't have the scoring to do that. And you give up 1 or 2 goals, or Igor has an off night, and all of a sudden, you're losing 5-1, 6-1, and it's embarrassing. So, I trust the coach. He is,
He's
he's won Stanley Cups. He's a great coach.
Great coach.
So I want to give him the benefit of the doubt to fix things. I mean, the GM did not really give him much in terms of a roster.
Drury stinks.
Yeah,
Drury is a terrible GM.
I wish they would have got rid of him along with Laviolette, because he's gutted this team in terms of, and all of his guys that he's drafted have not panned out the way they want to.
Right.
You look at Lafreniere. I love the guy, but he was supposed to be our Jack Hughes, where you could score 40 goals a year, and he could score 25 maybe. And
he was
he's
the number
just
1 overall, right?
Right, correct. Yeah. The year after Jack Hughes, and Capo Caco was supposed to be our guy too, and he's not there. And I, as much as I hate that he's gone, Chris Kreider, I feel like would be a great veteran presence on this team. I know he's not the player that he was, but I would love to have him be a Ranger for life. I mean, he's still going to be a Ranger. They're going to retire his number. It's going to be a whole thing with Kreider, because he has been the most clutch guy
he was
for this team
Ranger.
ever.
Great Ranger.
I mean, that hat trick in the one period, the last time we were in the playoffs, what was it, 2 years ago, where he scores the hat trick in one period. I mean, that's like stuff of legends. So, he was on his back. So, but, we're hanging in. We've kind of righted the ship a little bit from our horrendous start.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how things go, but that's my assessment of the Rangers. What about the Devils?
Well,
Teddy?
There's a long way to go. The Rangers are fortunate that, other than the top 2 or 3 in the Eastern Conference, that there's not a lot of big teams. So you're looking at the Islanders with 22 points, Columbus with 22, Ottawa with 22, the Rangers with 22, Philly with 21. And then even if you look above them, Montreal's only got 23, Pittsburgh's got 24. So I think they're going to be in it the whole year. And we'll see what happens. I think the Rangers are going to make the playoffs. I do. I don't know if they're going to do anything in the playoffs, but I think they're going to make the playoffs. And I think it's because their coach is tremendous. He's a great coach.
Yep.
That was I wanted to see the Devils, and they did try, from what I heard 2 years ago, to try to get him. And they were gonna, at that point, they were gonna dump Lindy.
Yep.
Um, so I think you're right. The Rangers have kind of put the ship in the right direction. They still have some stuff that they have to do, but you know, I'm not as down on them, except that I don't think Drury's the guy that gets you through a rebuild or a retool, because I
No.
just don't think he knows. I don't think he knows what he's doing when you compare him to other GMs in the league. Okay.
No.
As far as the Devils, I mean, I can't complain. We're in first place in the Metropolitan, most points in the Eastern Conference with 27 points. On track right now to get about 118 to 122 points. The big problem is injuries right now. I think they're very close to getting Hamilton back. They're very close to getting Connor Brown back, which they should in the next few days. And I also think they're about a week away from getting Yevgeny Davidov, who was one of their free agent signings from Dallas, back. Pesci, the defenseman, is going to be out for at least a few more weeks. Um, I'm I was concerned about the Jack Hughes situation. Just boggle it boggles my mind. I mean, I thought it was a joke when I woke up on Sunday and I
Yep.
heard it. And of course, you are no help at all telling me,
No.
"Oh yeah, he had his hand on his table and he was doing the knife trick like they did in the movie Ted." I'm like, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah.
And I'm
With
flipping
the tank and him were doing that together. That was what
right.
the.
It turns out that apparently he shows up. He slipped, and when he went to kind of brace himself, his hand landed on a glass, which broke, and it did quite a number on his pinky. He had to have surgery. He had tendons repaired, and he's out for 8 weeks. The good news is that, like they said, we're going to reevaluate him at 6 weeks, but everything seems like it's going to be okay. It's not a shoulder, it's not a collarbone, it's not an MCL or an ACL, it's not
Yeah.
an Achilles. So
I
we're
mean,
gonna have to tread
hockey
water.
players need their hands more than most
Yeah,
sports teams do.
and it's his
But
right hand. So
yeah.
they said it's his power hand when he takes his slap shots. But the thing is, we've got to tread water for 8 weeks, and I think at some point in that 8 weeks, I'm hearing rumors that they're going to trade for Blake Coleman from Calgary, who they had before he wound up going to Tampa. Which, I think that would be a good addition. He's a top six forward. Um, the rumors are still out there about Quinn Hughes, because Vancouver's kind of very up and down, and they're going to want to dump Quinn before Quinn reaches free agency and says, "I don't want to come back to Vancouver." And I don't care what you give for Quinn. You add Quinn to this team,
Yep.
and it's going to be pretty monstrous. And
Oh
I
yeah.
and Mike, I think he's the best coach in the New York metropolitan area amongst all teams, Sheldon Keefe. And the thing I like about him is the players always know where he's coming from. I mean, when they play lousy and you see an interview with him and they say, "It was a tough situation," he goes, "No, it wasn't that tough. You just got to play defense. You have to play defense." And he calls them out, and they appreciate that.
Yeah. When,
And I love,
with a young team like that, where there's a lot of guys who are learning to be in the an NHL
yeah,
player, you need a guy like that who can go in there and really kind of be the guy, the voice in the room to say, "Hey guys, this is not how we're going to do things here, and if you
exactly.
don't like it, you're gonna
Right.
sit." So
Yeah. And he makes the young guys um work for their spots. So they signed the kid from Russia, Arturi Grischek, who everybody's saying is going to be a Calder Trophy candidate. He's going to be the Rookie of the Year, and he starts off on the fourth line. And Sheldon Keefe just said, "Well, yeah, he may get there, but let's see what he can do here.
right,
I'm not going to break up lines for a kid that we don't know anything about." Now he's moved up to the second line because he has proven that he can do all these things. So, I mean, I like our situation a lot. I did hear today that apparently when they were building the Rock, they unearthed a graveyard. It was an old Methodist graveyard, but they also did find two mummified bodies in sarcophaguses
oh,
that were opened that were buried back in like the 1780s. And someone said, and then Brett Dillon, the defenseman on the Devils, said, maybe we need to use some sage. Maybe we have the mummy's curse on us for the injuries. So I hope not, because mummy's curses are rough. If you ever saw The Curse of the Mummy with Boris Karloff, or the Mummy movies,
Right, with The
listen,
Rock and all those guys. Yeah.
mummy movies are rough.
Yeah.
Mummies are rough. I don't want to mess with mummies. For a creature that's wrapped in gauze, why can you never outrun it?
Right.
It's always dragging its foot, and it's always right there with the person they're chasing. The person's fallen 18 times, and the mummy always gets the bird. How is that?
I don't know. I mean,
I don't get it.
Just throw some water down. It'll step on that. It'll fall apart because it'll.
Exactly. There's so many things you can do. I guess when you're running from a mummy, you don't think of those things.
I guess.
But I don't know. But
yeah, Devils got a little tough stretch here. They're playing Tampa tonight. They have Florida on Thursday. They got the Flyers, who are a sneaky team.
Yep.
Young team that is coming up. I don't like them one bit. I like their mascot. That's about as far as I will say that I like about the Philadelphia Flyers. That's the only nice thing I will say about them.
That mascot is ass. Stop it.
Is I love their mascot. I will send a picture of me confronting the mascot at the Wells Fargo Center on the glass. Me on one side of the glass, Gritty on the other side of the glass. Great picture. I have it as a Christmas ornament on my tree. So
nice.
That's the only nice thing I'll say about the Flyers is that I love their mascot.
All right. Well, Mike, last week when it came, let's do this. Let's review your Mikey Mush picks from last week.
Yep.
And let's get your Mikey Mush pick for this week, because we know it's going to be a little different, of course.
Oh yeah, for sure.
What happened last week while I was out?
So we were trying to find table tennis lines. We couldn't find them, so I had to pivot very quickly and go to Brazilian basketball. I should have looked at the lines before I made some of these picks, because I think one of the teams was plus. The two teams that I picked that lost were plus 600 and plus 400. And the team I picked that won was minus 1350. So, I lost 1-1. Unit Club, BRB, Brasilia beat Cruzeiro. But Rio Claro lost to Moji 95-55. So it was not close. And Vasco da Gama got smoked by Pacholato Baru 77-54.
Vasco da Gama was an explorer.
Yes, he's a basketball. They have a basketball team in Brazil named after him. That's why I picked him. I figured Vasco da Gama. He's got to be good.
You figured he would find a way to win.
Right. He did not. They lost 77-54, and it was they scored 11. They scored 24 points in the second half. So not great.
God. All right. Well, listen, you learned.
Yep.
You learned. But what about this week?
So this week we are going over to it is the Spanish handball.
Mm-hmm.
We have a 3-team parlay. We have the BM Growlers.
Bowel movement growlers.
Yes. To beat the Recoletas Atletico. They're minus 140.
Okay.
We have the Quabit BM Guadalajara, so another BM team.
A lot of BMs going on over there.
we have all three of them are BMs, actually.
It looks like. You just love the BMs, don't you?
I do. So Quibit BM Guadalajara to beat the Abanca Ademar Leon. They're plus 390. And then the BM Ciudad.
390.
Yeah, that's the big one.
Wow.
Yep. And then BM Ciudad Encantada, plus 115 against BM Huseca. Mikey Mush's picks 17-1 if you put them all together. That's a lot of cheddar goldfish.
That is a lot.
That turns into BMs at some point. So
so you can either win with BMs or lose with BMs.
Correct.
Oh my God.
life is there's nothing guaranteed in life except for BMs.
Except for
That's
BMs.
it.
That's right. Exactly. That's probably why they named them that.
Right.
So now when we look at our NFL picks, I got to tell you, I don't know if I can pick an NFL game. I just, everything I pick, I have the Midas touch in reverse, and it just turns to BMs as soon as I touch team. So in that case, I'm pretty good with that. But after last week, Jeff was 1-2, I was 1-2, and Mike was 2-1. So that's really tightened the standings. Me and Jeff are at 16 wins and 17 losses. And Mike is at 15 wins and 18 losses. Now, remember, we do pick with the spread. So it's not like some of these frauds you hear that they just pick the winner. Although even if I could just pick the winner, I'm sure I would have trouble with that at this point.
We would not be much better with the win with the.
I don't think was it 2 weeks ago. I bet a 3-team parlay. I forget the teams, but one was minus 600, one was minus 700, one was minus 900, and I lost 2 of the 3.
Yep.
So, and I will tell you this: the Detroit Lions, you're frauds. You're a bunch of frauds.
Yep.
And I don't want to hear, oh, they're going, oh, they're one of the teams going. You're not going to the Super Bowl, so shut your mouth. You stink. Jared Goff, love Jared Goff. Love him. This team stinks. All right. So they're not going to the Super Bowl. Of course, so that's pretty, that means they're probably going.
No, I mean, sign them up. Sign them up right now.
Sign them up.
Fans, book your trip to Santa Clara.
I guarantee they're not making the Super Bowl. But yeah, they really annoy me. They're
not losing another game the rest of the year, guys. Take the Lions in every game the rest of the year.
Now yeah, what are you gonna do?
Right.
So we don't have Jeff's picks because, as we said, Jeff is busy doing business down in the Atlanta area.
He got business going on.
He got business, but we will get his picks, and then we'll talk about them next week. So Mikey and I will give you our picks. Mike, I'm going to go first.
Yeah, go for it.
I got them written down here. I'm going to go first. My first pick, I'm taking the New Orleans Saints minus 1.5 against Atlanta. They're home. And you know what? There's something going on with this New Orleans team. This Shuck, the quarterback, I think he's good. He was supposed to be a first rounder. He lasted till the second round. He looked good in the game a few weeks ago. I think he's going to put them in a position where they're going to find out that they've got their quarterback. So I'm going to take them giving 1.5 to Atlanta. It pains me to make this pick, but this is more of an indictment on the team they're playing, the Arizona Cardinals, which I think just stink. I'm going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars minus 2.5. I'm not real confident, but I'm taking them. Fabio at quarterback. He's up, he's down. That's what. I mean, that's
Can't believe it's not butter.
Yeah, exactly. He rushes his hair back there. And my last pick, man, I can't believe I'm semi-believing in this team. I like the Bears minus 3 at home against Pittsburgh. They're home. At home against Pittsburgh. I think there's a chance that Aaron Rodgers might not be playing, although I don't think it matters at this point. And the Bears they also have something going on. I'll tell you, Detroit and Green Bay, they're going to look up in a couple of weeks. And
they already are looking up. Detroit, the Bears are in first place right now. So,
but I mean, they're going to look up and they're going to be too far away. And I think that it's going to. Don't the Bears Detroit plays Green Bay on Thanksgiving, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I thought it might have been the Bears, but I think the Bears are becoming a kind of exciting team to watch. I'm not a big Caleb Williams fan. He's a strange guy, but he's winning right now. So, So I'm taking the Bears, giving 3 against the Steelers. I'm taking Jacksonville, giving 2.5 to Arizona, and I'm taking New Orleans, giving 1.5 to Atlanta. Those are my picks. Mikey, you're up.
All right. So I am with you there, Teddy, on the Jaguars. I think Arizona is a fraud, is a bad team. The Jaguars are going to win that division. It's going to be close. Actually, they may not win the division, but they're going to make the playoffs, I think. They're going to get in ahead of Kansas City and a lot of other teams because their schedule is much easier. So, the Jaguars are sneaky good. Trevor Lawrence is a serviceable quarterback, much better than Arizona. So, give me the Jaguars minus 2.5. Pick number one. Pick number two, I'm going to do it. I don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it. Jets plus 13.5 against the Ravens. Baltimore's not very good. They're rolling along. I think they're getting a little too ahead of themselves. I don't think they're going to score that. 13.5 is a ton of points. I think Tyrod's going to move the ball down the field. They're going to score. The Jets are going to score a little bit. I think the defense is playing much better. So I think that this is going to be – I don't think the Jets may not win, but they will be within 10 points in the fourth quarter, which will give me a live here. So give me the Jets plus 13.5 against the Ravens. And then I'm going to pick the best – I think the best team in the league right now is the LA Rams against minus 6.5, which is a lot of points against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay – the roses off the bloom. I think they are going through a rough patch right now. There's a little bit of heat on them in the division now with Carolina coming up. I think that this is a tough spot for them going out to SoFi and playing the Rams. I think the Rams are they're really, really good. I think they're the favorite in the NFC right now. Forget what's going on in Philly or anywhere else. I think you got to give it to the Rams. So give me the Rams minus 6.5. So Jaguars minus 2.5, Jets plus 13.5, Rams minus 6.5. Mikey Mush's picks for week 12 in the National Football League.
All right, Mike, we didn't get to who we thought the Jets might pursue as a veteran quarterback. Maybe we'll do that next week when Jeff's with us.
Yeah.
Not talking about draft picks, just any veteran quarterbacks that we might be interested in. We'll see who can hit that one right on the head.
Spoiler
Mike,
alert, Fabio is one of the ones that I would think it would be one that I would want.
I'm sure he's going to be on the list. I really would rather not have Fabio, but we'll talk about that next week. Mike, any parting words, anything that people need to know about right now?
Well, one thing I will say is I will give it up for the Liberty Hurricanes. They did end up losing to Easton. Easton did end up winning the entire district, so they won District 11. They're now playing LaSalle prep school in the state playoffs, the state semifinals. I'm going to take Easton to win that game.
Aren't they undefeated?
They are undefeated.
Yeah.
I think they're a wagon, and they're really, really good. So, if we lose to the state champs, we're going to lose to the state champs. You can't really fault that with the season that we've had this year. But
hats off
shout
to Liberty,
out
for
to the
sure.
Hurricanes, and we'll get them next year.
All right. Well, listen, again, please like, subscribe, check us out on socials, send us an email, patheticthepodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you think about maybe veterans the Jets should pursue. We'll talk about the draft picks in an upcoming show. But Mike, this has been fun. We'll get Jeff back next week, and have a solid weekend, buddy.
Yeah, enjoy, everybody.